listeners, today we will be discussing about intermediate igneous rocks. Here is a brief outline. We will have an introduction section followed by the megascopic and microscopic characteristics of granodiorite. This will be followed by that of diorite and syenite, and we will end up with a summary. Coming to what is intermediate rock. Intermediate igneous rock is a classification based on the silica content in the igneous rock, and if our silica content is lying between 52 to 65%, we call that rock as intermediate rock. These rocks are roughly even mixtures of felsic and mafic minerals that have chemical composition between those of basic and acid rocks. Most common felsic minerals are plagioclase, while the most common mafic minerals are hornblende, augite, and or biotite. Hornblende is an amphibole, augite is a clinopyroxene, and biotite belongs to the mica group of minerals. There is little or no presence of quartz in these rocks, and most common intermediate rocks are granodiorite, diorite, syenite, andesite, and phonolite. First, we will discuss about granodiorite. Granodiorite is a rock from the granite trend and is most commonly found igneous rock on the surface of the earth. It is a plutonic intermediate rock, mostly light colored with grains large enough to be seen with unaided eye. As you can see, the granodiorite hand specimen which is shown, and you can clearly make out the grains in the sample. The megascopic characteristics of granodiorite will include the color, its appearance, and the mineralogical constituent of granodiorite. Color-wise, these are usually light-colored and can show shades of gray, pink, orange, and white. Some darker granodiorite types are also known, which show shades of grayish black. Then, appearance-wise, these are holocrystalline. That means the entire rock is composed of crystals, which can be medium to coarse-grained and are usually light in color. The essential mineral composition of a granodiorite includes sodium-rich plagioclase, potassium feldspar, quartz, biotite, and amphibole. The quartz usually look colorless or smoky. Feldspars are the dominant constituent of this rock. Biotite usually is clay-y, black and silver in appearance, and the hornblendes are usually black, dark, green, and usually occur as prismatic crystals. Accessory minerals in granodiorite includes muscovite, apatite, magnetite, and zircon. Secondary minerals are sericite, chlorite, and epidote. If we talk of the texture of granodiorite, it consists of crystalline form and hence shows a holocrystalline texture with large phaneretic crystals. Grain size-wise, they are medium to coarse-grained rock and can show both equigranular and inequigranular porphyritic textures. Porphyritic texture where you have a bigger size crystal embedded in a finer grain matrix. Arrangement is irregular and compact. Usually, granodiorite shows layered structures in plutons, and foliations are rarely observed in some of the granodiorites. Coming to the microscopic characteristics of granodiorite, it is essentially composed of plagioclase feldspar, alkali feldspar, quartz, biotite, and hornblende. And plagioclase feldspar is more dominant, followed by alkali feldspar, quartz, biotite, and hornblende. Plagioclase is usually known to constitute 2/3 of the total abundance of the feldspars. Minor amount of muscovite and pyroxene is also seen in granodiorites. The accessory minerals in granodiorite includes muscovite, zircon, titanite, apatite, tourmaline, magnetite, etc. These light-colored minerals like quartz and feldspar dominate over the mafic and the dark-colored minerals. Quartz is usually anhedral in these rocks. That means they are not well formed. and occur as fillings within the interstices between other minerals. Sometimes quartz shows undulose and wavy extinction. That means extinction is a property which we observe under cross-polarized light, and on rotation of the microscope stage, there are 4 positions in which a rock has to be extinct. And in this case, the quartz is known to show undulose extinction. Plagioclase shows lamellar twinning under Cross-Nichols. Green hornblende which is present in these rocks are known to show 2 sets of cleavage and pleochroism. And brown colored biatites usually have 1 set of cleavage, and pleochroism is also common. Pleochroism means when we observe a rock thin section under microscope, the minerals which are pleochroic changes its colors upon rotation of the microscope stage. This is due to differential absorption of color in different directions. So this is the property of pleochroism. Hornblende is known to show pleochroism from grainy color to brown color, and biatites usually show also pleochroism from light brown to dark brown color. And this is how we identify them under microscope. Feldspars also is known to undergo alteration to cerussite, while hornblende and biatite also undergo alteration to a secondary mineral called as chlorite. Texture-wise, mostly these rocks are granular in nature. They are anhedral and subhedral minerals, and they are hypidiomorphic. That means the crystals in these rocks are usually subhedral. They are not well-formed crystal. 1 or 2 sides will be well-formed, and the other 2 sides are not well-formed. That's why they are called as hypidiomorphic anhedral to subhedral minerals. Granularity, mostly medium to coarse grain, usually display phaneritic texture, but porphyritic texture is also there. Zoned feldspars are commonly seen. Intergrowth textures are also common in granodiorite. They show both graphic and mimictic textures. Graphic texture, when you have the growth of quartz in orthoclase feldspar. Myrmekitic texture is vermicular intergrowth of quartz in plagioclase feldspar. So here are 2 photomicrographs of granodiorite, one under plane polarized light view and the other one under cross polarized light view. You can see these brown colored minerals over here are the biotite. In here also you can see these the minerals which are showing lines, dark, alternate light and dark bands. These are the plagioclases. The minerals present, as again I am reiterating, these are plagioclase, hornblende, biotite, quartz, potash feldspar, titanite, apatite and chlorite. These green colored minerals over here are the hornblendes in the PPL view. It is usually easier for us to identify hornblende and biotite under the PPL view because they generally show pleochroism as has been mentioned. The rock variety tonalite is a part of the granodiorite clan and usually it is coarse grained with lesser amount of quartz and feldspar, represented almost exclusively by sodium-rich plagioclase with no or very little alkali feldspar. In the right hand side you can see a tonalite rock hand specimen where you can see dark colored minerals and these white portions are constituted by the plagioclase. As already has been mentioned, this is a felsic plutonic igneous rock. Granodiorite is an intrusive rock. Intrusive means they are formed at deeper depths in the crust. Formed mostly in subduction zones in active continental margins and in collisional settings. Subduction zones where one plate goes down beneath the other plate, and collisional settings is those settings where 2 plates collide. Also, they are known to form in small volume and shallow intrusive bodies of andesitic to dacitic volcanoes are found associated along with the granodiorites. Now we come to the next intermediate rock, that is the diorite. This is also a plutonic igneous rock with intermediate composition. Crystalline in nature, they show granular texture. usually are found consisting roughly of equal size crystal, as can be seen in the hand specimen on the right hand side. And this site happens to be the volcanic equivalent of diorite. Diorite may include other varieties such as quartz diorite, quartz monzonite, etc. In the strict sense of definition, if we follow the QAPF diagram of IUGS classification to demarcate a diorite, it will be consisting of feldspar, out of which more than 90% will be plagioclase and less than 5% will be quartz. Due to its mineralogical composition, it appears to be speckled black and white, and also that's why this rock is also referred to as salt and pepper rock. Coming to the megascopic characteristics of diorite, as also can be seen from the hand specimen which is attached here, you can see that it is dark to medium in color, typically speckled black and white. They are medium to coarse grain, hollow crystalline, intrusive igneous rocks. Appearance, mineralogical composition, if you consider the essential minerals, they will be consisting of calcium and sodium plagioclase, amphibole, less amount of biotite and pyroxene. Pyroxene can be both clinopyroxene and orthopyroxene. This classification is based on crystallographic connotation. Clinopyroxenes are those which crystallizes in monoclinic crystal system, and orthopyroxenes are those which crystallizes in orthorhombic crystal system. Accessory minerals includes quartz, alkali feldspar, apatite, garnet, magnetite, olivine and phosphatoid. Secondary minerals include cerussite, chlorite and epidote. Texturally, these are medium to dark colored with equal sized black colored minerals of hornblende and minor amount of pyroxene, and white colored minerals are the plagioclases. These are hollow crystalline rock completely composed of crystals. Grain size medium to coarse grain, and they are compact and have an irregular fabric. Mineralogy wise, these are essentially composed of plagioclase. If we want to specify amongst the plagioclase feldspar, they are basically oligoclase and andesine. And the amphiboles are mainly hornblende. Minor amount of quartz is also present. Pyroxene, which is usually augite, which is a clinopyroxene, and some orthopyroxene also may be present. Biotite is also an important constituent of a diorite. Olivine is seen sometimes in very small amount. Accessory minerals present will be magnetite, apatite, sphene, ilmenite or zircon, etc. Usually the minerals which are present in diorite are similar to those of gabbro, except that the anorthite content of plagioclase is usually 50%. What do we mean by the anorthite content? That is the calcium content in the plagioclase. And the presence of minor amount of quartz is necessary in case of a diorite. Plagioclase usually dominates over hornblende in the mineralogy of diorite, and other mafic minerals are also present, and the plagioclase will be the dominant constituent of all. Frequently, it also contains minor amount of quartz, pyroxene, usually augite, but some orthopyroxene also may be present, and biotite is also there. Olivine also may be present and seen in smaller amount and contains lots of plagioclase feldspar with lamellar twinning and minor amount of subhedral quartz. Mafic minerals dominate by high relief of hornblende and augite. High relief means that the grain boundaries of hornblende and augite are very well formed, and as a result we can distinguish them under microscope. They also show characteristic cleavage. Hornblende also shows two sets of cleavage, which is usually at a 120-degree angle. Augite also will show two sets of cleavage, but usually that is at 90-degree angle, and this is a common criteria which is used for classification of amphiboles from pyroxenes. Biotite is also there, which will exhibit some pleochroic halos, which is caused by the zircon inclusions in biotite. Biotite usually occur as pale brown to dark brown pleochroic subhedral crystals. Some of the clinopyroxenes can be easily recognized by their second order interference colors of blue and purple. Orthopyroxenes are also can be recognized based on its pleochroism under plane polarized light, and they also show first order interference colors. Both orthopyroxenes and clinopyroxenes are known to show interference colors, which are usually brighter in shades. Sometimes the plagioclases are altered to cerussite, and as a result, they look cloudy in nature. When we come to the crystallinity, these are holocrystalline and hypidiomorphic. Hornblende and augite grains are usually subhedral. Biotite and feldspar grains present are usually subhedral to euhedral. Euhedral meaning all the crystal is well formed. Subhedral means it is not so well formed. Granularity, texture is phaneritic and crystals are medium sized 1 to 2 millimeter. Fabric wise, the diorites contain phaneritic grains, often speckled, coarse grain, and may occasionally also be porphyritic. Here is an example of the diorite in thin section view. You can see the PPL view on the left hand side and the CPL view on the right hand side. Plane polarized light view, cross polarized light view. Here you can clearly see these brown colored minerals over here are biotite, and some of these green minerals are hornblende. Under PPL, it is easier to recognize the plagioclase feldspars, which are showing these alternate light and dark colored bands. And from the texture, you can make out very clearly that it is a holocrystalline rock. And the grain sizes are medium. You can see here that in the thin section scales have been provided. Whenever we are providing any kind of photomicrographs which we observe under the microscope, usually the scales have to be mentioned so that the readers or the viewers can easily understand the grain size of the rocks which we are observing. 3 different types of dioritic rocks are known: quartz diorite, monzodiorite, and alkali diorite. In quartz diorite, the quartz percentage is more than 5% and alkali feldspar is present. In monzodiorite, we have the presence of olivine and feldspathoids, whereas in alkali diorite, sodic calcic plagioclases are more in comparison to the potassic plagioclases like orthoclase and microcline. We also see presence of nepheline, sodalite, alkali amphibole, alkali pyroxene, and biotite in these rocks. This is a felsic plutonic igneous rock. Diorite is also usually found associated to subduction zones. They may form larger plutons, but usually present in the form of sills, dikes, and stalks. Occurs in both continental and oceanic crust and is not a rare rock type, but is significantly less common than the granitoids. Moving on to the third variety of intermediate igneous rock, syenite. Syenite is an intrusive plutonic rock and it belongs to the alkali series of intermediate igneous rock with a silica percentage more than 65%. The term syenite is in wider sense involves similar rock types like quartz syenite, alkali feldspar syenite, phoid syenite, or phoid monzosyenite. A true syenite will have alkali feldspar, that is orthoclase and or microcline, as a major component, with total feldspar content in the rock being more than 65%. Here I am showing you 3 different variants of syenite. We have a nepheline syenite, quartz syenite, and syenite. Nepheline syenite finds a special importance because these rocks are known to host rare earth element deposits. Quartz is typically lacking in syenite. Compositionally, syenite resembles to granite with absence or very low quantity of quartz. They are known to occur in a variety of colors. Trachyte and phonolite are the two volcanic equivalents of cyanite. Nepheline cyanide in India is known from a locality called as Kisangarh in Rajasthan, and nepheline cyanide is also known from a alkali complex in the northeastern part of India from the Josara alkaline complex. Megascopic characteristics of cyanide, color-wise they can be of varied colors but mostly are leucocratic, that means they are light-colored rocks. Appearance-wise, medium grain to coarse grain, intrusive, leucocratic rock where alkali feldspar is known to predominate. Mafic minerals are represented by a small amount of pyroxenes, usually azurine, augite or azurine. These are pyroxenes. Amphibole and biotite. Plagioclase is present but in a small amount. Quartz or feldspathoid can also be found in these rocks but in a minor amount. And the intrusive equivalents are trachyte and phonolites and form mostly in continental rift zones, where this means that it is an extensional environment where these rocks will form, where there will be fractures created in the continental crust as a result of extensional regime, and these rocks are known to form in those kind of settings. Mineralogical composition wise, cyanides essentially consist of alkali feldspar, plagioclase, amphibole, biotite and pyroxene. Quartz or feldspathoid, ilmenite, apatite, magnetite and zircon are the accessory minerals present. Phoid cyanides contain significant amount of relatively rare feldspathoid minerals which are called as phoids. Cyanitic rocks that contain quartz and cannot contain feldspathoids, vice versa. And vice versa is true because quartz and feldspathoids are not known to be compatible from the phase diagram inferences. Secondary minerals present are chlorite and sericite. Physical appearance wise, they are leucocratic, granular and holocrystalline. Grain sizes are medium to coarse grain. Their fabric includes, they are in nature, they are like granite and even so phaneritic texture. If we go for the mineralogy of cyanide, they are identified by the dominance of alkali feldspar, lesser amount of plagioclase with little or no quartz. If quartz is present, it can never exceed that of 5% of the whole rock. Minor amount of mica, augite and hornblende may also be present. Biotite is rarely found. Alkali feldspar present may include orthoclase and parthites and very rarely microcline. Parthites are commonly observed. These are the exsolution textures where albitic feldspar exhales out of a orthoclase feldspar. Alkali cyanides are rich in alkali minerals such as feldspathoids, nepheline, sodalite and leucite. Alkali, amphibole, rebecite and aphratsonite are also present in cyanide, and alkali pyroxenes such as azurine and azurine augite are also present, and potassium feldspar is also there in cyanides. It is usually shows they are poor in or they have very poor or no plagioclase and quartz. Texture wise, the minerals constituting the cyanides are both euhedral and subhedral. They can show panidiomorphic texture, euhedral crystals of same size, or hypidiomorphic texture, subhedral crystals of equal size. Granularity wise, they are phaneritic in texture, and fabric includes pathitic textures. There are two varieties are known. We have the quartz cyanide, when occurrence of quartz, that is silica saturated variety, is more. Then we have nepheline cyanide, presence of nepheline which is a feldspathoid and is a silica undersaturated variety. Classification wise, these are intrusive plutonic intermediate rocks. They usually are associated with other plutonic rocks, form relatively small intrusive bodies or are part of larger intrusions. They are produced by alkaline igneous activities, typically resulting from the partial melting of the lower crust. Usually, they are formed in continental rift zones and thick continental areas, or rarely in subduction zones. In summary, we would like to conclude about diorite and cyanite. Diorite happens to be a plutonic rock having dominantly plagioclase, oligocene, andesine, and amphiboles, mainly hornblende, with a minor amount of augite, quartz, and biotite. Cyanide, on the other hand, is an intrusive plutonic igneous rock of intermediate composition. It has very high percentage of alkali feldspar with little or no quartz or feldspathoid. Thank you for listening.